One of the biggest games of the month of October for the Nintendo Switch was, of course, The Witcher 3. A game originally designed for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Many people felt that The Witcher 3 would probably never come to the Switch, but here we are. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt has arrived on the Nintendo Switch, and I've spent about 15 to 20 hours with it so far, and there are a lot of things I want to say about this game, because this game might be one of the most interesting Nintendo Switch releases to date, especially when it comes to playing in handheld mode. So what is The Witcher 3 all about? Is this a game that you should have on your radar? And is this indeed the best handheld mode game for the Nintendo Switch? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about The Witcher 3 for the Nintendo Switch. So before we talk about the actual game of The Witcher 3, I do want to briefly mention all of the physical goodies that come with The Witcher 3 when you buy it physically on the Nintendo Switch. Now, this isn't a collector's edition or anything. This is the standard version that you buy at any retailer. And these goodies are absolutely awesome. I did a video a few days ago showing off these goodies, but in case you missed it, you get things like a map, some really cool stickers, a compendium for the Witcher universe and Witcher 3 the game. Just very cool stuff, very high quality stuff as well, and stuff that I love to see as a physical collector. If you plan on picking up this game, I highly recommend that you pick up the physical edition of this game because it's the exact same price, and of course the whole game is on the cartridge. That includes all of the DLC from Witcher 3 as well, so it's definitely a great value when it comes to physical collectors wanting to get this game because you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. The story of The Witcher 3 has you playing as a character named Geralt, a witcher who is basically a monster slayer for hire with unique magic abilities and lots of training. Geralt takes in a young girl named Ciri after her parents are presumed dead and acts as sort of a father figure for her and helps in her training. Ciri then goes on the run from the antagonist group in the game known as the Wild Hunt, which are some outer world-like beings, and Geralt wants to track her down. In order to do this, Geralt must follow clues and help out people along on his voyage in order to track down Ciri and get information about her whereabouts. Everyone in this game seems to have a story to tell though, and their own problems, and Geralt is quickly entrusted with helping other people in order to get the information he so desires. The game touches on a lot of dark subject matter when it comes to the story, from topics of like kids dying, occult things, domestic abuse, murder, sex, and more. What I enjoy about the story though is none of this feels like shoehorned in for shock value or anything, but it feels like a natural progression of the world that you are in. There's a lot of blood, murder, questionable situations, swearing, and even boobs, but it feels very natural to the flow of the story that I've experienced thus far. Aside from the main quests that will help you with your story progression, there are a wealth of side quests ranging from side story elements that play a role in the game, smaller quests that are self-contained, and Witcher contracts that have you hunting down various beasts, and much more. There's literally a ton of stuff to do and see in this world that you're in, and it's simply amazing the amount of content that is in this game, considering the fact that you have all of the previous DLC from the game as well, and it's all on one cartridge. Since Geralt is a witcher, you have a lot of customization you can do with his abilities. You have magic abilities that range from things like defense mechanisms to being able to shoot fire, all of which can be upgraded as you level up your character by completing various quests. There's crafting in the game as well that allows you to access more items, weapons, armor, or upgrades. There's an alchemy system in the game that allows you to craft potions that will give you buffed ability, stamina, life, and more. The upgrading of Geralt is actually pretty interesting in the fact that there's no really wrong or right way to do it. It's mostly based on your playstyle. As someone who enjoys weapon-based combat, I primarily focused on upgrading these abilities along with my life upgrades, and I really didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. One thing I really like about the crafting system is when you go to a shopkeeper or an item dealer, you can actually pull up the menu for crafting, and if you're missing an item but they have it in stock, it will let you know and you can simply purchase the items from them and then craft that thing. Dialogue in this game plays a huge role as well. Characters are fully voice acted and honestly sound great. There wasn't a single character I came across that sounded out of place or anything like that. When you're talking to individuals, you're often posed with multiple ways to go about a situation as well that will impact the quests that you are doing. You could do things like barter for better pay on Witcher contracts, end conversations if you don't trust the person, and all of these things will impact what ends up happening in the game. The combat in Witcher 3 is something that I've heard a lot of mixed things about, but honestly, I loved it. Like I said, you have both magic and melee attacks at your disposal, and it plays out in a very sort of hack and slash sort of manner. You have light attacks, you have strong attacks, parry moves, you can dodge, roll, and of course you can cast magic. There's a wide range of enemies that you end up encountering as well, each with unique strengths and weaknesses towards certain items or blades, so there's a bit of strategy in the game. It's good to look over the bestiary to learn about these enemies that you encounter to see what their weak points are. There are some awesome looking creatures that will fill up your screen, random attacks that seemingly happen out of nowhere, like a bear attacking me when I got too close to a bear den, boss battles that are very tense, and even some hand-to-hand fisticuffs in certain areas that don't allow for weapons. There's a great variety in the combat system in this game, and considering the fact that, like I said, you can upgrade and customize things to your liking, there's a lot of different things you could do and a lot of different playstyles you could do within this game, and I feel like there's something for everyone. When you aren't in combat, you can then set out on horseback to explore the world that you are in. Travel is made easier by finding signposts at certain locations that will allow you to fast travel to other areas you have been to as well. This map is absolutely massive, and there are tons of areas to visit, and you can actually go to certain points on the map and then revisit these other points later on in the game should you choose to do such. Aside from horseback and fast travel, you can also commandeer boats to go places you have never been before and visit various towns as well. The towns that you go into range from things like large cities to small shanty towns, and the game offers a full day and night cycle, plus a weather cycle as well. Geralt also has something called the Witcher Sense, which allows him to survey an area and find things to loot, or find clues when you're taking on certain quests. You'll have to do things like track footprints, find smells, research areas in order to piece things together that have happened there, and much, much more. It's a great deviation to the gameplay and honestly keeps things fresh throughout, as you never quite know what sort of gameplay style you're going to encounter next. Of course, one of the main points of contingency when it comes to The Witcher 3 was the graphics of the game. As this was a game that was designed with the PS4, Xbox One, and PC in mind, obviously there were going to be some downgrades with the graphics. But like I said at the start of this video, this might be the best handheld Nintendo Switch game to date. And the reason why is honestly because of the graphics. And I didn't think I would ever say anything quite like that before. Most of the time when you play a Nintendo Switch game, of course when you're playing it in dock mode, it tends to look better than it does in handheld mode. You have more power at your disposal, so you get things like better frame rates and better resolution when playing in docked mode. We've seen time and time again with third-party companies releasing games on the Nintendo Switch where the handheld version of the game has sort of a smear to it, or it definitely doesn't look as crisp as it does on the TV. But with The Witcher 3, it's almost like CD Projekt Red went into this game saying, we want to make this game as good as possible in handheld mode, and docked mode will just sort of be a secondary thing. Now, of course, all the footage that I'm capturing here is in docked mode, and you can see it looks decent enough. Obviously, there's things like low resolution textures, some pop-up happening from time to time, the occasional frame rate stutter, but for the most part, it's a pretty smooth experience. But it definitely looks a bit rough around the edges at times. When you're indoors in environments, I think it looks better than when you're in big open environments. But when you play the game in handheld mode, it honestly looks a lot better. I feel like they're able to hide some more of the issues that will happen when you're playing on something like a 55-inch television as opposed to the smaller screen size of the Nintendo Switch. The game looks a lot crisper, textures look a lot cleaner, and things just look generally overall better in handheld mode. I'm going to do my best to get some off-screen handheld footage as I don't have a way to capture it directly, but even if I did happen to have a way to capture it directly, I don't feel like you would get the full visual impression that this game offers in handheld mode. It's honestly pretty beautiful in handheld mode, and there's definitely a difference when playing in handheld mode versus playing in docked mode. If you play your Nintendo Switch primarily in handheld mode, I think this game looks a hell of a lot better than it does in docked mode. You can see little intricate details in the world around you. Things like when you're slashing a bandit and his arm flies off or his head flies off just looks a little bit better in handheld mode than it does in docked mode. It really is one of the best handheld experience, if not the best handheld experience to date on the Nintendo Switch, and considering the size and scope of this game, it's absolutely breathtaking. So is The Witcher 3 a must-own game on the Nintendo Switch? I think if you're only a Nintendo Switch owner, you definitely owe it to yourself to pick up this version of the game. CD Projekt Red really went all out with this version of the game, and honestly, I feel they've done as good of a job as they could have. The fact that they dedicated so much into handheld mode of this game is honestly very impressive. All the physical goodies that you get in the physical edition of the game as well really show that there's some time and care that went into this version of the game. If you're a multi-platform owner, of course you can pick up this game on the PS4 or the Xbox One, and it will be generally cheaper. But if you only have a Nintendo Switch, there really aren't many games like this on the system, and it's definitely a game that I think a lot of people will enjoy. If you're a fan of games like Elder Scrolls or just open world games in general, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with The Witcher 3. It's honestly been a very addictive game. I've put, like I said, 15 to 20 hours into it in just 2 days, and I plan on playing this game a hell of a lot more because the story really has me gripped, but the combat, the world that I'm seeing, and just everything that's happening in this world is just so intriguing that I keep wanting wanting to play more, and honestly, I keep just doing side quests as well because some of these monsters that you come across are just so freaking cool. But those are my thoughts and impressions on The Witcher 3 for the Nintendo Switch. It's definitely been a big debate. It's definitely been a big talk for the Nintendo Switch owners, but really, it's the best game that came out on the Nintendo Switch on October 15th. Sorry, Overwatch, but you're just kind of screwed. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of The Witcher 3. Have you played this on other platforms? Do you plan on picking it up for the Nintendo Switch? And if you did pick it up for the Nintendo Switch, what have you been thinking about the game so far? Have you been enjoying it? What do you like and what do you dislike? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.